Thank you very much for joining me today. Um, I'm re-recording this video in this form because the first time I recorded it, it didn't include audio. The second time I recorded it, it didn't include audio, so we are on the third and a half try, and I think we got the audio situation figured out. But what I'm going to do to you today is I'm going to walk through some of the stuff we talked about at the site visits. If you hear any children or dogs or, I don't know, small porpoises walking or in the background, just try to ignore it, as I got to record this pretty late at night and we're trying to get it done and it's time sensitive. What we're going to start with is one concept, and that is the fact that we went into this round of negotiations knowing there was going to be two major issues before we even started. And number one was the transition of IPDIP over to SPIP. The Minnesota Department of Ed came in because we had people go forward, talk about the IPDIP concerns, and the Department of Ed zoned in and said, hey, we've got to move everybody over to SPIP. The SPIP salary schedule cannot legally move everybody over to IPDIP because we have to be able to pay them more to do so. In our current salary schedule, we are not able to do so. So when your negotiators went into this round, we're trying to be creative and find a way to do so that it's done legally, correctly, and members still see a benefit somehow. The second issue that got popped up that we knew was going to be a problem was mentor pay. Late in the mediation sessions last round, the school board decided to target mentor pay as if it needed to be fixed. This was brought forward because a group of individuals, our members, went to the school board, and said that they were disappointed they weren't being paid more than other folks who hadn't mentored at all. We still don't have a firm total on how many people that is. Was it 2? Was it 5? Was it 15? But the feedback we've received as negotiators says that it may need to be looked at, but it's not to the point where it is a number one concern. And that's what you're seeing is going to cause a big problem. The school board has chosen to latch on to this small individual group and make it affect the whole. We are trying our best to set us up in a way to win and have a success at this round of negotiations. But if we continue to allow the school board to target few individuals and then have those few little changes affect the whole, we're never going to have a success. We're just not, because we're being dictated what needs to be changed, and that's not how this should work. It should be, what are the ideas we can collectively come together that can help improve everybody? So those were the two we knew: mentor, SPIP transition. We had to solve them. So based on those knowing coming in, well, I shouldn't say, we had to solve SPIP. We kind of wait to see what mentor is going to look like. Union proposal made the following concepts, and these are all of them that we brought forth. We want to see a career step 4 added. So instead of going to career 3, there's now career 4. And that would happen at 18 years. At the same time as the career 4 step, we would see a reduction in the number of reviews it takes to get to career 1, career 2, and career 3. Right now, our salary schedule runs at a rate where teacher 1 is like 3 reviews, teacher 2 is 6, and then teacher 3, or that's how we bump up into 3, and then career starts at 10, and then it goes 13 and 16. With this proposal, our concept would go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Make it uniform. Do it the exact way you should. We already have a career earnings approach to our salary schedule. This continues that. Same philosophy, same rollout. But one of the most important things adding the career step 4 would do is solve the IPDIP salary schedule transition. It moves it there, provides the dollars we need in order to make it so it's legal. And nobody goes backwards. That's the step. We've also put on the table Schedule C and D, seeing a 2% increase. National board certification recognition. School districts, we're seeing a huge movement for school districts other than our own, recognizing national board certification. It's a process that you go out and get nationally board certified in a certain subject. It shows you're a better teacher, like your master's or doctorate. But this one you have to maintain, so you have to stay nationally board certified. A lot of school districts are using that as a way to incent people to go get more education outside of their school districts. And then you have to maintain it. So it's really a long-term thing, and school districts are touting it on their brochures. We have 150 nationally board certified teachers. So competitively, we don't have that. Incent people to do it, it would get done. We also need to restore the healthcare savings, our VEBA account. This is a disrespectful process that was implemented. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. We also want to see an increase in our 403B retirement match. Right now, and for the last 2 contracts, it hasn't really been improved. As we take a look, we'd like to see it to go to $25,000 of district match cap for a career. $2.5 thousand yearly match, so you're able to go in at 2.5 per year, and then $25 per hour match is what the rate is it's put in. Currently, we're at 22,000 here. If you're wondering, this one's at 2,000, and this one's at 20.33 per hour. So when you look at this, this would be a bump in some of the rating. Like in my time here, I've never seen an increase on the cap per year or the hourly rate. We have been able to increase that 2 contracts that go from 20,000 to 22. So this would be a good benefit, and it really sets us up so that maybe retirement is a better option in the long run, and the district's able to save money. This is a benefit to both the member and the district. We've also presented a concept that would bring forth language to formalize the shared leave pool. The district uses it as a benefit. We use it to help out our coworkers. We want to see it protected. That could, on a whim, if there was ever a change in a HR director or superintendent, it could be gone. Boof. Magical. It's gone. That's not the way some of these things that the district takes advantage of and we take advantage of should operate. They should be protected. That's the route we need to go. That's why you get contract language. There's also 2 concepts for workload that's been a problem with double class. One version of double class sees where the district, when they can't find a sub, will take the students that cannot be covered by a licensed staff and farm them out to those who are at work that day, and then you kind of get like a pro rate based on another number. So we want to see that formalized and recognized in contract language. But there's also another double class that's going on, and it's happening when they can't get enough sections, especially at the elementary level for the specialists. The way it works is you have 5 sections for a grade level, and they want to send all 5 of them to their specials class, art, music, phy-ed, PE, or technology, at the same time. But that's only 4 teachers that are available. So they take the 4 sections and put them in, and there's this 1 section that's left, and it's farmed out to the remaining 4 sections. So the teacher workload and that class size is up significantly compared to what it is in the regular classroom. That is not a trend we want to go with students. That is not the best interest of kids. But if the district chooses that's the route they want to go, the teacher who has to do that should be paid more. They have more workload. So we're talking about where do you establish the regular number of classroom kids per section and how we play with that. We've also talking about subrate and the concept that maybe we set it up so it's more of a tiered system. If you have to give up your hour prep, maybe for the first 10 hours of prep that you have to give up, it's paid at one rate, then the next 10 it's paid at another rate, and the next 10 is paid at even more increased rate. And the goal of this is not to get teachers rich off of subrate. That's not why we do this. The goal is to incent the district to take a more critical look at how we pay our subs to increase the sub pay and make themselves more competitive. Because right now, we're not winning at this. We have subs that we're going days without them. And where other districts are upping their pay rate, while we continue to stay the same and sit here and wonder, I wonder why we can't get a sub today. Yes, I understand the sub shortage is a crisis in Minnesota. But you either try to take an active approach to try to fix it, or we just sit back and let it continue to happen to us. This is the role the union's trying to take to help incent them to take an active role in this. We're also talking about putting together a SPED workload study to see what would be the best way to handle some of our SPED teachers, because they're stretched pretty thin when we look at it, and we need to get them some help. So let's look at this with a critical eye and try to find a way to improve it. We also have the SPIP MOU is getting examined, and the IPDIP transition, which we talked about before. We have creatively tried to come together to find ways to do some of this, but we're not getting a lot of creativity back. It's almost like problems are being identified and put into our lap, and then we're supposed to figure out how to do it at budget neutral or reduction level. And that's not the way negotiations works. You're supposed to come together, try to figure out an answer, and when you actually, they give you an idea, you don't just go, no, can't do it. We're getting some of that. District proposals. 0.5 year 1, 0.5 year 2. Their mentor proposal is a concept that we've been struggling with the most. And the reason is because the district wants to make drastic changes to the mentorship program. And I'm trying to see if I can get that pulled up real quick. There it is. So when we're talking about the mentor proposal, what we're talking about from the district is this. 2 out of the 4 possible mentor positions don't change when you're actively mentoring. They don't. Peer leader and specialist. Congratulations. You're staying exactly the same, but only when you're actively mentoring. Initiative mentors would see an uptick in pay. So if you're on an initiative from the district, you would see $1,250. A one-to-one mentor, though, their system would totally change. You would have $1,600 that first year. You have a first-year teacher. The year 2, the second year of the mentor program, you'd see $1,000, and then the third year, you'd see $600. So it's a total change to the way the mentor program works. This came out of a committee that was put together because of the fact that this was a targeted issue at the end of the last round by the school board. We don't agree with this method because it sets it up so that members go backwards. And one of the things we have constantly been pushing and having these conversations with the district, we cannot go backwards. It's unacceptable, especially when we're seeing the best revenue option school districts have seen in a while. As we take a look here, we're also talking, we'll talk about that in a second, the removal of the HCSP, unilaterally decided. Not a good trend for a school district to take if it values its employees. We also are really close, though. This last one, we actually have some progress on retiree subpay. We've talked with the school district. We don't have a tentative agreement per se, but we've said, okay, retirees, all we've heard in the 6 years I've been doing it is that retirees want to be paid cash, not in their healthcare savings account. Okay, so we've agreed that we'll move away from the healthcare savings account and get paid. But we've been talking more about, okay, now that we've moved, if we move away from that, let's talk about how do we incent those retirees from St. Francis School District to come to us. We want to set it up in a framework that says our counter proposal to their idea was, sure, let's do that, but let's pay them $20 over the day rate of a sub. And that way, they have no reason to go anywhere else. And at the same time, it says, okay, this year, let's say sub rate's $125. Next year, it's $135. It can change with that rate. It's a stagnant $20, but what it really does is cover their taxes and some of that cost that they miss out on because it's not going into a healthcare savings anymore where it's tax-free. This is a win for both groups. We don't have an agreement on that one either. The district wants us wants to recoup $108,000 in a one-time cost for the Neopath Clinic for shutting it down. We don't agree with that for many reasons. The district got $220,000 when they opened the Neopath Clinic to run it on the backs of our contract settlement. That was pay that could have gone to us. You are talking over 1% that could have gone to us 3 contracts ago. And then they used it, and they invested it, and then they added more to it. of money that could have been sent to us in a settlement. And we missed out on that money. Use that money to close it down. It's disappointing that you're going to use it against us to try to shut it down when we followed state statute. You cannot do both. You cannot use state statute against us, and then when we use state statute against you, you get mad. Neopath Clinic was set up to fail from the beginning, especially if the district had to move away from self-insurance. We had to sign contracts before insurance could be finalized. When they implemented it in a cycle that was outside of the preferred version of what it was. We should have never gotten into it. They signed for the renewal before we were able to finalize our insurance. We brought the district in early with PEEP, trying to keep them in the loop and be proactive. We went forward in a positive manner to try to bring the district together. The end result may not have been good from their point of view, and we understand that. But we did not hide anything. We did not throw it off to the side and say, well, maybe it'll happen. We'll just kind of surprise you. We did what we need to do to keep people involved when we found out that we could increase coverage and decrease cost. The school board also sent our contract to the Minnesota State School Board Association to go through it and read it and provide feedback and ideas for what should be changed. That had a light cost to it. Some of the changes are not necessarily bad to help make it easier to read and grammar mistakes and all that stuff. But we don't agree with all the changes that they brought forth. So we're working through some of that to make sure we're closer. The difference between an and a the and an or and an if is a huge difference. And we've been trying to show them where we can how those changes change what we have for contract language. And obviously they'd want that change if it benefits them. Here's what we have for roadblocks, to put it as simple as possible. The district proposals that they had forth that we just got done do not solve the IPDIP transition. We would be sitting right back here again. This time we'd have the commissioner knocking on the door saying, what are you doing and why isn't it done if we took the district settlement option? We've come forward and we tried to provide a unique settlement opportunity to solve this problem, but have been told no. Any offer, and this is one we've been talking about, any offer with less money on the contract is not acceptable. And we still are a firm believer that the HCSP removal is punitive. It was a decision that was made because they wanted to recoup some money if they could. It's a disappointing trend for how you treat valued employees of your organization. Here's what we have. Now, I need you to think of how those proposals on the other pages affect you. And you need to think about it more personally because these aren't even perfect numbers. This is an average number spread amongst everybody, and the way it gets spread would be different per person. You have minus 288,000 due to healthcare, the HCSP. You have minus 288 due to year 2 of the HCSP. You have an addition of 210,000 for the 1% over the 2 years. And that nets to a loss of 366 divided by about 350 members. It's about $1,000 backwards. There are pieces that are not included in here because we can't tell you directly what else you're missing. I, as an example, would miss out on the mentor pay. I am not a peer leader. I am not a specialist. I am not on an initiative. And I'm not technically mentoring in the realms that would qualify for these 3 or 4. I would look to go backwards. So you need to add another $1,000 if you're not actively mentoring, $1,087 to your personal cause. So that's $4,000 over the course of the 2 years. That's not even talking the length of the contract. So think about how that would affect you, because it's going to have a pretty big effect when you're talking 5, 10, 15, 20 years, or trying to get back just to equal over those times. At a 0.5%, it's going to take a lot of years to get back. We filed for mediation. We filed for it a long time ago, but on good faith, we're meeting with the district. In our last meeting that we had with the district before we came in, we said we were going to meet one more time, and if adequate progress was not made, we would not meet with them again until mediation. We spent the entire time talking about mentorship pay. Adequate progress was not made. So we didn't even get to the heart of some of the real things we need to get done, like how we solve the IPDIP transition. So adequate progress was not made. The team chose to step away from the table, and we were done until we got scheduled date with a mediator. And that's where we're at right now. We have a date scheduled for December 21st. We got the head commissioner man of the mediation services for the state of Minnesota to come on down and work with us. I'm assuming that's a great sign. That means we're going to get this done real quick. But just to let you know, last contract took multiple sessions and into the summer. It took 5 to 6 sessions with the district. And you can't just meet whenever you want with mediation. You're supposed to be there with a mediator. So most of the time you're scheduling them at least once a month at best. We expect this to take at least the same amount of time it took last time. If we don't get the school board to move off of some of the parameters. So we'll see what that looks like. You do some of the math, and we quickly find ourselves to pretty late in the school year. Update on the HCSP. We sought 2 avenues to solve this problem because we know it's a problem. Many people ask me, how could they do it? Well, the way you get this problem solved is you either file an unfair labor practice and or an arbitration. We filed both of them because we were hoping that it would speed up the process. We go with whichever one came first. Well, the arbitrator has decided that he's going to put the arbitration on hold until the unfair labor practice is decided. So with that in mind, we're down to one style. The unfair labor practice has been attempted to be scheduled by the parties involved in the month of December, the month of February, and the month of March. And each time a date was brought forward, the district attorney said he was unavailable. The first date they were able to agree upon was June 24th. That is one of the more disappointing developments of this entire HCSP frustration, is that now we're going to have to wait till June if the district doesn't move on it. We've given an offer. Return the HCSP. We'll drop the unfair labor practice. We can be done. They have not chosen to do that yet. So that creates a tough scenario. In our contract, we have 2 different pieces that play off of each other. Number one, you get if you take district-sponsored health insurance, you get $112 per month. If you don't take district-sponsored health insurance, you get $1,500. We've always operated as if it's black or white. You get this one or you get this one. The district has chosen to wedge itself into some sort of gray area, whether it's the attorney or district administration, it really doesn't matter. They've decided that it's not sponsored, and we have to kind of wait and see if they're going to pay the $1,500, and that's where the major concern is, because if you wait until June 24th, that's only the first meeting. Who's to say it's going to be decided by that date? Could we be looking at 3 or 4 months beyond that before they get another meeting because somebody can't meet in December? Like, I don't know, July, August, December again. Who knows? It's a whole lot of I don't know going into this, and it's really disappointing when we should have this done already, or it shouldn't have happened in the first place. If you're worried about where the money's going from that $112, the district has informed the negotiators that it's going into a bank account at their bank, and as it grows, they're making about $50 a month on it. So it's not making anybody rich. It's not like they're going to be able to balance the budget with this. It's frustrating. It's not how you treat your employees. What we're asking of you as I look to kind of move forward here is some personal stories about how the loss of the HCSP has affected you. We have had a tough year in our school district when it comes to medical needs. And some people will argue this is the same as it always has been, but it's not. we have a lot of tough stories about those worst case scenarios. But we need more than just the worst case scenarios. Everybody is affected by the HCSP loss. So I need you to think, we want you to think about those personal stories. Does it mean because you were not able to build up the HCSP that there's a chance now, since you put it on hold, I might not retire? Because that makes a difference. Every retirement in this school district, for the most part, has saved them. They've not renewed most of those contracts. And even if they do renew it, it's at such a reduced number that the district saves money. So if it's holding on to you, it's costing them more money than it costs for them to just pay the HCSP, so you can plan accordingly. We also need to start amping up our show of solidarity across the district. We'll talk about that more in a bit. We'd always, as always, would like your feedback as far as how you think things are going. And then we're going to ask you, we'll finish up the video here talking about where are you at? Where do you feel as far as how things are going? The question is normally asked as far as what can we do to help? Great question. We appreciate it like you wouldn't believe. We've put things onto a range scale: low, medium, high. So we started out low. We have some buildings that have decided to start wearing red on Wednesday again. They started today to do it. Greatly appreciated. It's much better if this comes from you. Some folks have asked, how does that help or anything? Well, wearing red for Ed helps because it shows we're capable of all paying attention. And we're all thinking about it. We're all ready for action. That's why it's a low, because it shows what we're capable of. And it's kind of testing the waters. It's saying, hey, I look around, I see a ton of red. I know the negotiators now know, hey, that person's in our corner and they're thinking about us today. At the same time, it kind of starts some of those tough internal conversations. Is, Susie not wearing red? I need to go talk to Susie. Hey, is there a reason you're not wearing red? Like, what's going on? And then, we could really use your support here. It might not seem like it's a big deal, but it ends up becoming a big deal as we move through this, shift of ideas. Another thing is to show up to the school board meeting and tell your story. When we tell the story of other people, it's not as effective as when you do, no matter how hard we try. We've told your stories. They fall on deaf ears. Talk to them about your stories. You don't have to come to the visitor session where you're up in front of it all formal with the microphone and, rah. You can come to the dialogue, pre-dialogue with the school board. As we work on that, just share your story. How is this affecting your classroom? How is this affecting you? I even think I support where we're going. Walk-in and walk-outs. We've tried those in the past. We've had some success, but maintaining them has always been part of the problem. We could also start emailing. Do we need to start emailing the media? This would be a very particular set of people talking to media on how to move forward. When we do that, we start down a process of having some different kind of conversations with community members. You've had union representation at the school board meetings for maybe the last 3 years, almost 4 now. We've been watching what's going on. We see it. We've been pretty professional about it, but we're starting to get stretched a little thin, both in our workplace and even with the way things are being worked out at school board. One of the new concepts that's been bouncing around is the idea of soft work to rule. What this says is anything you are not paid to do, you will not do. We're starting to get into the range now of the uncomfortable things, the tough conversations you have to have with colleagues. Because if we're going to do this, we need to do this all together. And soft work to rule, even at that level, will be something that will divide us. All right, and when one person breaks through, the school board has a record of saying, hey, I talked to this person and that's what they think, so they represent this big group. So we have to be careful. If you're doing book walk, only can do if you're not getting paid for it, we don't go. Pizza nights, they are beautiful things. I love them too. But people need to find out all the stuff that we do that's extra. Writing scholarship recommendations. If you can do it during the workday, you can. Not outside the workday. People need to start having a conversation about what's going on in their schools, and this may be the time they need to do it. But then at the same time, we have to be willing to talk to our colleagues if they're not following through. Because once we crack that, there's no turning back. It's a tough conversation. I have to look over to my colleague and say, hey, I'm not going to be at this event, and I would really like you not to be too. Because if we do it together, it sends a much better message than just, oh, that person's not here. That defeats the purpose of everything we're trying to do. Another concept that we've talked about is a communication freeze. This one, again, even when we talk about it, we're still like, I don't know if we can do this. At district level administration, so not talking about principals, district level administration walks up to you and says, hey, your shirt sure looks sharp today. Your response along the lines would be, I've been instructed by my union to only discuss work-related topics. And you leave it at that. I know, you probably think it's petty. You think it's something we shouldn't do. But that's the route we have to go to in order to raise awareness. They should be advocating on our behalf to help implement systems that help support us. I'm not telling you to do it disrespectfully. When they walk up and they're like, Ryan, that's nice. Ryan, that's a nice shirt. Well, I'm not supposed to talk to you. Ugh. My union told me not to. No, you can be respectful. I've been instructed by my union not to talk to you about non-work related issues. Something like that. So we will work through that. But if one person does it, again, it sends a divided message. We are in this together. It's either all or nothing. So as you fill out that survey, think about that. It's time, if we really want to make change, and we thought we had done that in the last couple school board elections, but we're finding out is it's not there. So it's time to sit down and have a tough conversation with community members. If you see them in the good spot, say, hey, would you be willing to run for school board? I can help keep you educated on this. They don't have to be people that bend over backwards for us. That's not it. But we need educated folks who are ready and willing to take on the challenge of school board. And that's where we need to move, what we need to do to move forward. We thought we had allies there, and it's just we're not being heard. There is a concept being kicked around about a vote of no confidence. So we create a list of different topics that we feel like we're not being supported on, put it out to the membership to vote, and then record the results and deliver it to the school board. And it would hopefully change the direction of their goal and show where we are headed and where we'd like to go as a school. There is more of a hard work to rule or true work to rule, where once we start at the beginning of the day, your contract day, you start there, and go until the end of your contract day there, and there's nothing after. You don't go home with homework or the homework the kids have to grade. You do not do that one real quick thing at the last 5 minutes that you know you need to get done, unless you don't. So when you're thinking about how that one plays out, make sure you can sustain it, because we've had some urges that we need to go there sooner. But the question is, how do we sustain it? We have 6 months, 5-6 months of school left. It's got to be, these moves have to be something we can sustain. Otherwise, once we back off, it's over. The only way to go is go completely nuclear on the thing and go to our last suggestion, which is strike. You're good. So that's kind of how you look through the whole list of things as we look to work our way in where we're going. The ultimate decision, as much as it is the negotiators, is also you. So we've put out a survey because we want to know what you support for concepts. What are you comfortable doing that you can commit 100% to? And not only you commit, but also commit to telling your colleague that if they're not doing it, you'll have a conversation with them and talk about doing it. Without this solidarity piece, we don't have anything. We cannot continue to move forward. Now, I've done this like 5 times, and I always forget this section. What was it? There was like one more number piece I wanted to talk to you about. Well, that might be it. I think as we look through some of these other things back to here, got you on there, got you on there. I want you to take a hard look and think of how this affects you, because we're going to need you to get this done. Without you, there isn't any way to move this school board off of the topic. Oh, that's what it was. I want to talk to you one last thing, and it's about ones that are like communication freeze. Or if you remember correctly, we did postage, those square things, postcards last time. The school board has a track record. We sent 300-400 postcards to them, just asking for a positive settlement. And a handful of people, again, sent ones with cuss words, chewing them out. And out of all the 400, they're like, oh, I got my mailbox is stuffed full. We're like, yes, we stuffed them full. We, kind of sent the message. The 4 that they bring to the school board isn't the one where it's like, please help us settle now, be good. The 4 that they bring is the one that cusses them out, tells them they're a bad person, and tears into them. We've got to be intelligent on how we communicate with this. We cannot give them the softballs that they require to turn this into a huge explosion of problems. One person can ruin it, the message we're trying to send, because that's how the district works. If they can find that one person to latch on to, it helps their messaging, and they can come out and push through mentor, destroy any sort of movement we have, rally taxpayers around some of their concepts. We've got to stay on point. You may not agree with that, but that's the route we're going to try to go down. So if we have an ask for you, we need you to accomplish it, but you've got to be smart about this. Because we don't get the names of the people who did it. They don't hand it over to us and be like, this person was the one that did it, so we can turn around and talk to them. Nope. We get into a situation where it's then cast upon the whole group as if the whole group is the problem. And we are not the problem. We're the solution. We're the people in the classroom seeing the kids every single day, seeing how their lives are going and seeing what they need. We need to be respected as we do so. So allow us to do that. Thank you very much for your time. 38 minutes now. 38 minutes now is a really long time, but I appreciate it. If you have questions, don't be afraid to reach out. Yeah, have a great night.